It's 5, and we're live. Welcome to Frankly Speaking, where truth is our mission, rarely our realm, said as we see it, and frankly as well. And I'd like to let you folks know out there that we're on YouTube, back on YouTube, so you can just put in YouTube, then you click in Frankly Speaking, Lynn. I don't know whether you have to put in Joe Spina.
I think you have to put either Joe Spina or
you
Frankly
have to say
Speaking.
Lynn, but I don't say anything. And what's happened is, I got a call from a relative from Georgia.
Really?
Who said that you're knowledgeable,
right.
And he really liked you.
Thank you.
And by the way, we have 2 of the 3 sages here. Right. Malcolm's still...
Malcolm is still working with his wife. His wife is...
She's had some serious...
Very serious. We, in our prayers are with her, yes.
God, you should get better, Malcolm, please.
Yes. And Paul has been doing God's work with the elderly.
Really?
And he's really been tied up, and he wishes the best to all the folks out there.
Hello, Paul.
We're going to open up a little bit with I got an email from my lovely sister from the South, and what she wrote I thought was profound, so we can talk to take a look. Read that for me, Avram.
I'm amazed that I've reached this age without even a hint of its arrival, but came it did.
It's a girl from Sicily.
All right.
Can you believe that, huh?
Right.
That is a lovely, lovely philosophical thought.
It really is.
And your sister is up there in age, I believe.
Yeah, she's going to be 94.
That's amazing.
And what's fascinating about her, she was actually born in Boston, and in those cold water flats, in those days, and she had to ward off the rats. One of the great stories is that rat tried to bite her, and she beat the crap out of it. She was always the feisty one. She was the Cinderella between the 2 golden ones. And when the Depression hit, my dad, in those days, sent the whole family back to the old country.
Back to Italy, really?
Right to the old country,
Wow.
and they were over there for 12 years. Mm-hmm. And when the war was about to break out, my father had to work very hard to get his family back into the States, even though 2 of the 3 kids over there were born in the States. The other 2 were born over there. And I believe it was Henry Cabot Lodge's office that worked overtime to get my mother, and otherwise I wouldn't be born.
Henry Cabot Lodge was an old-time politician because he was honest.
Yes, he was a very honest man. And if anybody wants to know why I turned Republican later on in life, is because if it wasn't for Henry Cabot Lodge, who in fact was a Republican, I wouldn't be doing Frankly Speaking and be friendly with you 2 guys, huh?
And
Life is funny.
Where did we get the term cold water flat?
Well, because they had no heat, no heating system. Right. The water, there was no hot water boilers back then. Right. You want to keep warm, you had to get a stove, a pot-belly stove. Remember that?
No,
in the tenement house. In fact, my dad told me when he came to this country, if you wanted water, you had to go out on the street and pump it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. He probably paid $5 a month. Those same apartments today in the North End are probably going for about $4,500.
Here's what my dad earned. They earned 10 cents an hour.
Right.
They worked 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. They made $6 a week.
Right.
And they lived on that, and he saved enough money, so by the time he was 25, he went to the old country to get married. That's what they did back then. And he got drafted.
Right.
Because he was, Italy was an ally of the United States after World War I.
But they wouldn't let him fight over in Europe, probably, did they?
No, he was post-World War I.
Oh, I see.
When he went over there to marry, they grabbed him. And at that time, you could either be in the Italian army or drafted into the American.
You know who was in the Italian army?
He was in the Italian army.
But you know who else was in the Italian army?
Mussolini.
No. Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he was. You're right.
Oh, yeah. World War I, the Italians fought on our side. Right, I forgot.
That's right. Up in the northern part by the Austrian border.
While he was recuperating in the hospital, he wrote this book, Farewell to Arms.
That's right. You're very knowledgeable. You know that.
Very good.
Necessarily.
Right.
Frankly, Joe, if we can put that up, former President Obama came out forcefully to condemn white nationalism in response to mass shootings of late. Acknowledging that the motives were not yet known, he nevertheless said that there are indications that the shooters were troubled individuals who embrace racial ideologies and see themselves obliged to act violently to preserve white supremacy. Furthermore, we're not hopeless, Obama stated, and until all of us stand up and insist on holding public officials accountable for changing our gun laws, these tragedies will keep happening. Agreed, the shootings are, in fact, tragedies. But is forcibly condemning white supremacy in response to El Paso and Dayton going to keep these tragedies from happening? Are changing gun laws, as Obama suggests, going to keep these tragedies from happening? So let's examine these tragedies in light of the Obama years for perspective. Let's put up a little video. Now, the point of that was to show what's happened since
Right.
Trump has been
Since
president,
Trump
right?
is president.
Let's take a look at some facts. Let's throw that fact sheet up there, because facts matter.
Right.
Have we got that one? Take
Right.
a look at that graph.
Right.
Reagan, 11 mass shootings. By the way, this is defined, mass shooters is defined as
Right.
4 more people being
Each
shot.
one is a shooting. Okay.
Notice this.
He got shot himself.
That's right. But there were only 11.
Okay.
12 during Bush Sr.'s term. 23?
23 in Clinton.
29 during Bush. Look at how many in Obama's
162.
in his first term.
Right.
Now, if you remember that little clip that we just had, I believe they said 62
Right.
Yeah.
in current. Let's go to some other statistics. Facts don't lie. Let's throw that one up there. Take a look at this one. Reagan, this is the same basic thing, right? Reagan 11, Bush 12, Clinton 23, 16 under Bush Jr. Under Obama, 162 mass shootings.
Right.
But the major difference between Reagan and Obama is the internet came into full force.
That's right.
Right.
And the internet has a lot to do with what's going on.
Right.
Very good.
It's very bad,
Right.
but hear me out. Every time there's one of these major tragedies, the statement always is, where did he get the ammunition? Where did he get the gun? The question should be asked, where did he get the will to do what he did?
Excellent
Right.
point.
And
And,
we-
that's what we're going to try to discuss.
we're gonna get at it tonight.
We're all born, we come
Right.
out of the womb, we don't know about
Right.
hate, we don't know about nothing.
Right.
And yet from the time this gentleman came out of the womb to the time he walked into Walmart, what transpired in his life?
It has to do with a culture change. There was an excellent article in today's Herald. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later. But if you want to talk about the numbers, do you want to talk about numbers?
You talk about numbers, you can't outlaw guns, it's too
Right.
late. There are more guns than
Right.
people.
Wait a minute. Let me
So-
ask this, Ralph, before you get into
Okay,
the
go
stats. This is an interesting point.
Right.
They were talking about gun control.
Right.
More importantly, all you have to do is restrict bullets. You can have all the guns you want. If you got no bullets, the guns are useless.
You could
so
do that.
if you want to restrict anything, you restrict the amount of bullets people can buy. Right? I mean, someone can't. What does someone need 100 rounds for?
Right. Well, it's pretty restricted in Massachusetts
What
right
did
now. actually.
prohibition accomplish? You know,
Nothing.
Well, you know what it accomplished? It made some people multi-billionaires. That's what it accomplished.
One of
okay?
them being the Kennedy family.
And one of them being the Brofman family from Seagram's Whiskey.
That's right.
Okay? But hear me out. To outlaw guns, the only thing you're going to do is you're going to make the price of a gun go up in price 3 times the amount, and people are going to be making fortunes.
Let's get back to what Ralph was going to. You have some stats there.
Now, in these mass shootings, and a mass shooting again is somebody, 4 or more people killed. From 2008 to 2017, there were 389. Terrible, terrible thing. That's now, remember, from 2008 to 2017, 389 in mass shootings. In 1 year, in 2016, there were 14,415 other homicides with guns.
Handguns.
With handguns.
Well, let me ask you
That's
this.
the
Who was president in
14,000.
2016?
That was Obama.
Okay. Let's throw this other one up there, Pedro, because it's interesting. 5 of the 12 deadliest gun massacres in the United States took place during Obama's first term. Remember the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida? That was in 2016. Listen to it. 49 killed, 53 wounded. The shooter, Omar Martin. Why do I have that shooter's name up there?
Because
Is he a white nationalist?
He's not white.
Is he a white nationalist?
No.
Okay.
White nationals are getting too much credit for some of these things.
And they commit very few of them. That's the point we're trying to make. Sandy Hook, Newtown, Connecticut. This is a tragedy of tragedies because these were little kids.
Yeah.
Adam Lanza went in there, and there's 28 killed, actually 28 because he shot his mother and he shot himself.
Right.
Right? Was that a white nationalist?
Nope.
That's just a crazy, deranged kid.
Right.
Aurora, Colorado, which was mentioned, that would happen in Obama's term, right?
12
killed,
of it,
58
yes.
wounded. James Holmes, that kid with the red hair, you know, that Batman Forever.
Right, right.
Is that a white nationalist?
I
Nope.
don't think so.
Yeah, he's a deranged human being, correct? Let's go down to San Bernardino, December 2nd, 2015. 14 killed, 22 wounded. Those were husband and wife team.
Right. Yeah.
From Pakistan,
So
correct?
there's Rizwan and
Are they white nationalists?
Malik, yes. No.
Okay. Fort Hood, remember that one?
Right,
How many? 1333? The shooter, Nadal Hassan?
right, right.
What was he?
He was a major in the Army.
Yeah, he was, and they didn't want to say it was domestic terrorism,
Right,
did they?
right.
Which it was. How about Washington Navy Yard, Washington, D.C., 2013? 13 killed, 8 wounded. The shooter, Aaron Alexis.
Right, I think he was ex-Navy, I believe.
He was black.
He's a black man,
Okay.
ex-Navy, I think.
So the narrative that white nationalists are out there shooting up a storm, as Obama suggested, right? It's false.
That's true.
It's a false narrative.
So-
We're not saying that they don't. I'm saying that El Paso probably
right.
was a white nationalist,
Right.
right? It appears. But it doesn't matter. Now, what do we know for certain? The shooters are what gender?
Black.
No,
All
gender.
All male.
Male, all male, I'm sorry.
Almost
All male.
exclusively, right?
Exclusively
So
male.
first of all, we got to focus in on why is it that males
Right.
are shooters,
Why?
right? That's
Right.
number one. Number two, most of these shooters are in their 20s,
Right,
okay?
right.
Now, there's exceptions. The guy from Las Vegas, is he a white nationalist?
Well, but hear me out for a second. Take the guy from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He was older, but number one, he was in the same category as the kids who were 20. He was not married, had no kids, and basically no family.
That's an interesting profile.
That was an anomaly. He was an older white guy.
Yes, he was.
Yes,
But he did the most damage of anybody.
he did,
At the
absolutely.
same time, but he's still in that same, he is not married. He's by
That's right.
himself.
That's right.
Okay? So I would group him as
So loneliness of being a loner is a profile.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Okay. Our number here, by the way, we want you people to join in.
That's the main profile, is being all by yourself.
Is it being a loner?
Yeah.
781-780-9460. We want to hear from you.
Right. But who are being killed? What kind of people are being killed? Black people are being killed.
Well, we're going to get into that, but wait a second. We got a poll question to do.
Okay, full question.
Don't forget, folks, we need to hear from you. 780-9460. The poll question for this week is white nationalism the spur for mass shootings? That's simple. Is white nationalism the spur? Is that the reason why these things are happening? That's the simplistic approach.
Right.
Speaking of polls, last week, and this was very surprising to me, by the way, take a look at this. The question was universal health care. It's almost 50-50.
Right. I think when I voted, it was like 70-30 or something like that.
But
when I
it turned
voted.
out to be almost 50-50, and that
Right.
actually surprises me, frankly.
Right.
I thought there would be much...
I know an ex-nurse was very, very liberal, and she surprised me when she said universal health care, nationalized health care would kill this country. I was shocked when she said it.
Wow, we got a terrific, let me get to a comment. Pedro, if you can throw up Walter Carlson's comment with that poll question. apparently his sister's a nurse.
Sister's a nurse.
And she said it would destroy the healthcare as we know it. And he actually complimented you, Ralph. He said Ralph's comments about his experience in the hospital are really on point, and we don't have the capacity to serve everyone with quality healthcare. That's the simple truth.
That is true. We can't do it. I've seen it. You go to a major Boston hospital, it's a nightmare. How many people are in that emergency ward? It's unbelievable.
Let me get back to the shootings, because this is the essence of what we're talking about today. Avram, after they were screaming and yelling about what happened in Dayton, at the same token, on that weekend in Chicago, there were more shootings, more wounded, and almost as many deaths. It was 755. Would you believe that one?
But that doesn't make front page news.
Exactly. And with a handgun, not with weapons of war, with the handguns. And this is happening every single week, isn't it?
Every day.
Absolutely.
Every day. So why aren't we talking about the hard things?
Because we're used to it.
Right.
Keep going.
We're used to it. This, when it happens on a major scale in a Walmart or in a restaurant, we're not used to it, so it becomes interesting. People become interested in something like that.
But what about Beto O'Rourke and the way he handled it?
What an absolute ignorant man. I don't know what you people in El Paso could ever see in voting for this man in the first place. This guy is happy as hell this happened in his backyard simply because he has something to talk about now. He can fake his tears. He can tell you how upset he is. He can blame this on Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. He's getting a lot of publicity that he doesn't deserve, and for the wrong reasons.
Right.
What about from our home state? Isn't she fundraising off of the tragedies?
Yeah, Pocahontas. Yes, it's unbelievable, and I can't understand why these minority politicians don't go into their home cities and try to stop some of the shooting. It's the minorities, the blacks especially, that are getting killed. Long guns only account for 0.0036 of all the homicides. 0.0036 long guns.
Not only on the charts.
And you know what I've been thinking about all week long is Elijah Cummings, how he could actually sit there in office all these years and not have done a damn thing to try to help his own people.
But it's the same in many of these inner cities.
It's amazing, but he didn't even. Only time it was called to attention was when Donald Trump called it to attention, not him.
That's right. And let me ask you something. Did Donald Trump send in $18 billion?
It was $16 billion.
16?
And they can't figure out where the hell it went.
And they don't know where the money went.
Really
So
good.
it isn't as if he tried to neglect helping out Baltimore.
No, the money is there. They just don't know what a lot of
money
it's
is
being, the money.
Where is it?
The money is going to probably pay for phony jobs and things
Whatever.
of that nature.
It's-
I would guess.
But did it improve the situation of the people there?
No, the jobs went to his friends
It
probably.
did nothing.
781-780-946. So here we have tragedy versus tragedy. Is there any solution to the problem?
I was down the beach today, and I do my little walk down the beach early in the morning, and I grabbed a Herald to stop and read on the way. There was an article by Star Parker in the Herald, in the editorial page. She hits it right on the nose. It has to do with not a change in anything else, but a culture change, especially of young men, young males.
So it's young males who are shooting, right?
Young males, and they're unchurched. They're not working. They're not married, and they're not producing more people in the world.
And it can be reduced down to one simple word: alone.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Alone.
Yes.
All by themselves.
Right.
No one knows they're there. A lot of times, I think an underlying factor may be is now you know I was here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrific point. It's a sick point, but it's a terrific point.
But that's sick. What do you think?
There was an article done, an analysis done way back when, I hope I can remember correctly, and it was talking about comparing Cairo, Egypt to Cairo, Illinois. And it said that both of them have the same problem. They have a bunch of superfluous young males who are not married, as you say, by themselves with no jobs and no hope.
Right.
That's an interesting point.
That's the point.
And
That
they
is the point, yes.
and this woman today in the Herald said, it produces an inclination to blame other people for your problems, and that's the problem. So they want to strike out at other people in a very dramatic way, and that's why they're doing these shootings in a very dramatic way.
Let me ask this. Do you, both of you, and you folks out there, Do you think that if we reintroduced the Ten Commandments, and I mean that metaphorically, what I really mean is if we started stressing right and wrong, what you should do and you shouldn't do, and actually enforce both ways, do you think that would help?
It's too late for that, too. The horses have left. What's the point of closing the barn doors?
So you think that that's it now?
It's too late. As a matter of fact, we ought to be thankful it doesn't happen more often.
It's in part of the statistics I'm reading. In 74, 65% of the people believed in church and goodness and the attributes of the church. Today, that's only 36% right
Wow.
now. Can you believe 36%?
But some of that is the church itself.
So
I mean,
there's
there's
been
some
big
behavior
problems in the
patterns that took
church.
place in the Catholic Church
Absolutely.
that have really turned a lot of people off.
Absolutely.
There's no question about
Yeah.
that. But at the same time, it's a huge world. It's a huge world. It's very easy to fall through the cracks. Who's keeping an eye on these kids? It isn't until they do something, then all of a sudden we're interested in them.
But why are they male? Why? You know, when I was teaching school, one of the things I noticed, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Every time that some kid was put on medication, be it Ritalin or Adderall, is that what it was always a boy.
I saw a documentary, and I couldn't believe it. 50,000 children. Are you listening to me?
I am listening.
50,000 children in the greater Los Angeles area are on medication.
Boys, girls, how's the breakout?
That they didn't go into. Okay, it's probably the majority is boys because boys act out, girls do not.
That's right.
People have been talking to me.
And foster kids,
Right.
kids who have been tossed from 16 homes before they're even 12 years old, they're on medication.
Right.
What do you expect when you've gone from that kind of an experience?
And also things might be getting worse because the people that have been talking to me about these kinds of kids that they know of, all right, they all do, almost all of them do one thing also. They also smoke marijuana. They all smoke marijuana.
Yeah, but what marijuana or addiction or alcohol, any of that stuff, those are markers. There's no question.
Okay.
But at core,
We are a heavily medicated society.
And it
when
comes
these kids grow up, when
Yeah.
these kids get to the point of being in their 20s, what are they going to be acting like?
like they are.
There may be a revolution in this country because of those kids. Okay?
Why isn't this happening in Japan?
The good question. There's a different culture in Japan. There's a
So you
different
say
culture.
it's culture,
It's
as Sade Parker says, right?
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at Japan. Let's just do a little
Right.
comparative.
Right.
Japanese have strong family values.
Tremendous.
Right.
So that's probably,
That's it in a nutshell. We don't have that
Right.
same thing here.
But we do, though. These people are almost never Jewish, and they're almost never Chinese. Did you ever notice that?
talking about the shooters.
Yes.
Well, did you notice that some of them, for example, I can tell you that that's not necessarily accurate because Virginia Tech and Okai University and a couple of others happen to be South Koreans. So
Right, but not Chinese, though. Not Chinese.
What-
Different. Chinese, a little different culture.
my point is simply this, is that family is very important.
Right.
You mentioned it, not being alone, having a network. I mean, I had a wonderful weekend with my family.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't.
Exactly.
More people don't than do.
And that is the breakdown. So if you go to some of these other places, in Japan, they revere us old guys, don't they?
No
Right.
question about it.
All right, there's a tradition. They believe in family. They have a value system. In fact, they have a thing called guilt. My bride said it well this weekend. She said, you know what? I'm glad there's such thing as conscience.
Right.
Because conscience and guilt held me in line.
Right.
Look what we do with our elderly today. We put them in a place, assisted living for this. No one wants to take care of them.
In the past, they had the big houses because everybody took care. That was a social security.
That's a thing of the past.
That happens in Japan, though, doesn't it?
Not like it does here.
No, I'm talking about in Japan, they take care of the elderly.
Oh yeah, but not
Yeah.
here. Not here. They are a dead. To us, they are a dead weight on society.
So,
They're non-productive, and that's the way it is. Okay.
so what is happening in all of this news, wall-to-wall coverage that's taking place as a consequence, that actually was a triple header.
Right.
And California, in El Paso, and in Dayton, right? Basically.
That's of this past week. What's coming next?
We don't know, but it will come.
Something's coming.
It will come, right?
Right.
And
It was seen as like as about an 8% change in the way young men are leading their lives. About an 8% change between the time in the 50s when we were growing up. It's about 8% difference. That's a lot of people.
what are you talking about?
The young people today, the way we were brought up,
Yeah.
all right, as opposed to now the way the young men are being brought up when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
They're a lot different, and about 8% of them are leading this life of just staying at home and not doing anything and forcing themselves
Isn't
to
it
become
interesting
depressed.
that at a time when we have prosperity, when the unemployment rate is way down,
Right.
this is when you would expect not to have these things happen.
But they're not, we say prosperity and low unemployment, they're not taking people who are unemployed.
Right.
We just don't know
Right.
about it.
Right.
That's a huge amount.
But that's right, because people between 25 and 55 in 1965, 96% of them were working. Between 25 and 55,
Okay,
those
what
are
about
voting. Now it's 88.5%, about
Meaning-
8% different. Those 8%
So that's a
have
big
given
number.
up work and they're not working. That's a lot
That's
of
a big
people.
number.
That's a lot of people.
That's tremendous amount.
So you have the shiftless population,
That's right.
superfluous, as we say, right?
Right.
So if you're superfluous, that means
Superfluous.
you're useless.
Useless.
And I didn't know this when it all first started back in Colorado with that high school where the two kids started.
Yes, Columbine.
Oh, with Columbine, excuse me. When they did the autopsies, one was allowed to do an autopsy. The other parent said, no, this kid was heavily medicated.
Yes.
Right.
And that's
Heavily medicated.
yes. And the point is that if these young boys, and I'm saying boys because boys are doing the shooting,
Right.
are on Ritalin
Right.
and are on Alderol, has anybody ever thought about perhaps maybe that, or they come off of it and they explode
you
when
see-
they're 21,
Right,
22?
wait.
That's
Because
true.
and when they're under their parents' control and control of the public school system, they must take their medication,
The
right?
parents are allowing them to do this. One of the problems is the
No.
parents are not being tough enough. That's the problem.
Because the parents don't know. They take them to a person and they ask them for advice.
Mm.
They take them to a psychiatrist. That is one field that should be heavily regulated. And
Absolutely.
it's not. Some of these people run wild. I've seen examples of people on this documentary I saw. They come in, they talk to the kids for 15 minutes. They call the parents and give them Ritalin.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay? 15-minute diagnosis. That kid is going to be screwed up for the rest of his life. And what happened to him? He committed suicide.
So what happened? That's right, they do.
He committed suicide.
Now, what happens when they don't self-medicate? When they get to that point, they're 18 years old now, right? And at 18 years old, they're quote-unquote legal. And they decide, I'm not going to take my medication. Now, they've been glued onto that medication for 10, 12 years.
That they have what they call a psychological rebound, and they go absolutely out of their minds. They can't.
So this mental health component
Right.
is part
Right.
of the
That's
problem.
part of
It
the
hasn't
problem.
even reached the surface yet. You don't know, have no idea what's coming our way in the next 10 to 15 years from all these kids.
As a consequence,
Unbelievable. Absolutely.
of drugs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a granddaughter, 8 years old, and I really fear for her the way the civilization is going to be when she's old. I really fear.
But concurrently, and this is the part that troubles me, is we've relaxed sanctions. We've relaxed what's wrong.
Right.
You know, we don't tend to, don't do that. We don't say that anymore.
Parents are happy as hell when a kid's been acting out. They take him to a shrink. Now he's on medication, and the kid's shutting up.
Yeah.
They think the problem's
Right.
solved. They're happy as hell.
Right.
They have no idea. That's like a volcano stirring.
And dangerous people aren't being locked up. Some people are very, very dangerous, and for some
They
reason
deinstitutionalized
they're
everybody. yeah.
deinstitutionalized. And I told a situation, and when I walked up to Will Sullivan's the other day to see how, try to get my health back and to have a meal up there and maybe a couple of pops, and I did. On my way up there,
Just a couple of pops.
Just a couple of pops.
just 2 pops.
All right.
It was good. Anyway, so I heard the strange sound when I was walking up Washington Street. This guttural sound by this man. I looked across the street. I knew who he was. He lives in an apartment building, in a condo building that I partly managed. My family owned one of the condos. This man is so mentally ill, it's pathetic. He once chased a man up the street with a machete, and it didn't do more than 2 days' time. He's very, very dangerous, and he's very mentally ill, and he's out and about all the time. This is the type of people
How
that
is
are out
that
there.
possible,
I have no
Ralph?
idea.
Wait a minute, I want to know, I want to
I'm
ask a simple
serious.
question. How is that
I have
possible?
no idea. I have no idea.
And so when this guy with the machete, and by the way,
He had a machete chasing a guy
by
up
the
the
way, some
street.
guy recently used a machete to kill 4 people.
That's right. And this is going to happen in Ward 5 someday
So
with this guy.
it
I know
isn't guns. I mean,
know
if you want to kill somebody, you
It's
can-
everything.
yeah.
Right. But how many
Sticks
of
and
these people are
stones
out
break
there?
bones.
But some of these people that we're talking about, the shooters, are very, very sick, mentally sick.
781-780-9460. What do you think is or what are some of the ingredients, some of the things that they ought to think about? I think, number one, I agree with you on culture. I agree with you on drugs. I think it's a multifaceted situation. We're not going to eliminate it.
No.
Hopefully, we can ameliorate it to some level.
We have to mitigate it somehow. We have to change
And we better start thinking about the inner cities, because you're absolutely right.
Right.
I mean, if you look at reality, folks, there were more deaths with handguns, forget about
Right.
these weapons of mass destruction,
Right.
with handguns in our inner cities
Right.
every single
Right.
weekend
Right.
than there were
Right.
at El Paso.
Right, it's unbelievable the statistics from it's from 1999 to 2016 there were 213,000 handgun shootings, murders in the United
How many?
States.
200,000?
200,000, over 200,000.
Okay.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, with
That's
handguns.
2 large armies. That's the equivalent of 2 armies.
Were they done by white nationalists, by the way?
They're done almost exclusively inner city blacks, killing blacks.
All right.
Black
So,
on black.
this white nationalism, white supremacy narrative that the media is pushing
Right.
is a lot of crap.
Of course it is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay.
Right.
You remember your girlfriend, Heather McDonald, who wrote the diversity thing that she was on last night on a called The Story. I was trying to find her clip because she said it all. Academia does not want that narrative out there. They want it to be white nationalism. It's an industry.
Right.
And the same with the New York Times. They have a vested interest, CNN and MSNBC. They're selling that narrative for...
Well, who the hell else are they going to blame?
They're blaming Ronald Reagan. They're blaming Donald
Donald
Trump.
Trump. This is
But did anybody blame... Do you remember the guy that shot up all the Republicans there that time? He almost killed Scalise?
Right.
Remember him?
Right. They
was
were
a
playing
Bernie
they
Sanders,
were playing a
big Bernie-
baseball game.
Yeah,
and
big
they
Bernie Sanders guy,
yeah.
right?
Scalise almost died. Yeah.
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 And there were a number of other people, but you never hear about those.
No.
Interesting.
And he was a Bernie Sanders favorite. He was a big fan of Bernie Sanders. Now you can't blame Bernie Sanders. He had nothing to do with
Wait
it.
a minute, the guy from Dayton is a left wing. He was Elizabeth Warren.
That's right. And he was a Democrat.
Right, he was a Democrat. He was
Yes.
Registered
Registered
Democrat.
Democrat.
Elizabeth
Right,
Warren,
absolutely,
right?
right.
So, if you peaks want to mention that El Paso, it happened to be Trump,
Right.
then what do you,
But
how
you
do you
don't hear.
explain Dayton, Ohio?
Where do you hear that? Maybe on Tucker Carlson's show and here. Where else in the whole world do you hear that? Nowhere.
And the mayor of Dayton, Ohio, a woman who's not too bright, said some very bad things about the president. He shouldn't come. How can you tell the president not to come?
Because she happened, her name was Escobar from El Paso, Texas, and they have to use, and a Democrat, they have to say that Trump is a racist. They have to say that because they're trying to break, the Hispanic vote is almost 50-50.
Right.
And if Trump gets 50% of the Hispanic vote, he's unbeatable.
Right, that's true.
And so
Right.
they are doing everything in the world to prevent the minorities from drifting. And if the minorities were smart, they'd come overload.
They're pushing this because
If they were smart.
Yeah.
see if
Yeah,
Texas is key because no Republican will win if they don't get Texas.
Of course, it's impossible.
And Texas could be very close, very
No,
close.
no,
And
that's
It
that
could be.
narrative. That's the narrative of the media. They're praying, hoping and praying for that one. Not going to happen.
At the same time, this forthcoming election may be the most dishonest election in the history of
That's
the world.
here's what people don't really, forget about the Russians, folks, and collusion. The biggest guy you should worry about is George Soros, who happens to own the machines that do the tabulating.
Right.
And George Soros is.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, some of these machines aren't self-contained. I believe that they actually go out over Wi-Fi or something, which is very, very dangerous. And
No kidding.
Yeah, but now our machines here, that's not true because in Lynn they're self-contained. They run the.
Let me give you a little
They run
story,
it. You know how
Ralph,
you do it. Okay.
as one who has gone through the process.
Yeah, you were elected. Okay.
I had to go to court.
Okay.
And my universe, the only contested ballots they could look at after a recount were 58. I won on election night with 38 votes. And I ended up losing in a recount by 3.
Right.
And we contested 58 ballots. This is called the hanging chad. You hear,
Right,
remember that happened
yeah.
afterwards.
Happened to you.
We
too.
went to court, and the university could look at was only 58. I ended up winning the election by more votes after the court case than I did on election night. I doubled it, okay?
Excuse me for laughing, because it's really not very funny. That's
No, it isn't.
that's not funny at all.
Right.
How the hell did that happen?
It's happened often. It happens all the time. And anybody that tells you otherwise, it's crazy.
And these are, remember the last election? They had a week. They had a week to vote. Very, very dangerous. What happens to those votes that are in those boxes? I know they're locked up, but you feel a little queasy.
Locked up by who?
By the election.
By the police.
Election, by the police and the election. Well,
Please, will you?
So let the games begin. This is a good way to go. Let the games begin, because election 219 is upon us, is it not?
right?
And we have the ward and at-large councilors and the school committee. Now, the interesting thing is, in reality, none of it means anything for the primary. Forget September.
Right.
Because the only place that there's a contest is in Ward 6.
In Ward 6, right?
Right?
Right.
Every place else, everybody makes the finals.
That's Hogan's ward, I think. That's Hogan.
Yeah, Hogan. But Hogan wasn't elected by the people.
Right.
He was elected by the city council.
Right.
Okay, upon the recommendation of Capano.
He might have a fight. Castle is working very hard, I heard.
Who?
Castle.
Castle? Who else? Who else?
Well,
is there? There's 6
well,
people.
you got
Don Ellis, former Ward 6
Ellis,
councilor.
Dave Ellis, yeah.
Who else? There's a new gal who's going to be.
Her name is
Problematic.
Don. Is that Don? Is that Don?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to be problematic.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
What about McGee? When is he up for
No,
re-election?
he's
that's
2
in
more
2
years.
they do 4 years
changed
now. They
the
changed it.
mayoral for 4-year terms. But here's the point. And at large, there's 2 extra, right, over and above the.
Right. 2
So
extra.
there's 6 running at large. There's 2 new folks. Do you know who they are?
No, I didn't write it down.
In the school committee, the 2 new people, I have it here. The incumbents in the school committee are Castellanos. And by the way, there's only 8 folks running for 6 slots.
Right.
There's 6 incumbents and there's
Right.
2 challenges.
It's too bad there's not more people running. There's not many people
that's
running.
pretty sad. They automatically make the finals.
Right. They automatically-
Everybody.
right.
Here's Castellanos, Capola, Ford, Gately, and Stadawal,
Right.
and Nicholson. They're all
Right.
incumbents. And the 2 challenges are Sandra Lopez and Tiffany Magnolia.
Right.
So that's 2 females and 2 gals of color. So who knows? There's been a switch.
But it's amazing in a city that is basically a minority, is majority.
40% Hispanic.
Right, and then if you throw the blacks in, it's just about 50-50. They're highly represented. There's only maybe 2 men of color on the council.
No, there's no. Just Hong.
No, well,
Hong, yeah.
Buzzy,
And Buzz. Yeah, you're right.
2, right? So,
See, now, isn't that funny?
yeah, see,
You mentioned Buzzy. I don't
Yeah.
even think of
You don't
Buzzy
think
as
of him as
being
white.
black.
Right,
Okay.
I know.
This is here's the whole point, folks.
yeah.
You deal with people as individuals, not
Right.
by the color of this
Right.
and who they are.
That's right.
That's what you've been telling me left and right.
right.
So that happens in Lynn. Now we got a few odds and ends to fool around with, and then we'll do our stream of consciousness.
Okay.
Odds and ends. Now this is the region. Apparently, and I don't know if you guys know about this, the MBTA bus route schedule has been changed on September 1st. So 448, 449, and 459 buses will be no more.
Right.
What's that all mean?
Basically, that means that they used to go right into Boston,
Yeah.
and they don't do that anymore because they said, now in the story they said it takes 3 hours to get into Boston. It takes 2 hours.
To get
It
into
does-
Boston from Lynn?
Well, yeah, you know what, they count because they come all the way from Marblehead.
Because the traffic is
They
terrible.
come from Marblehead all the way into Boston through here.
Is the rationale for these changes, does it make sense? Apparently some people in Lynn are up in arms about it.
Well, because people rely on it to get it, because I've seen people get on those buses that are in wheelchairs to go to hospitals and whatnot.
So you're telling me that this idea of bus 448, 449, and 459, it's a bad idea that they...
I think anytime you cut out service is a bad idea because they were going into Boston, and they
It's
basically
very
cut them
simple.
all off.
It's not profitable.
Right.
It isn't profitable,
Well,
we know that.
It's never
Well, that-
profitable. It's never going to be profitable. You know.
So
but that's the
everything's
point. They're
profit motive, huh?
they're cutting back because they have a money problem.
Okay, let's go to
obviously.
Nahat. So Northeastern University will be required to draft an environmental impact report that demonstrates how it will avoid, minimize, and mitigate environmental impacts of the expansion. Translated, that means that they won, doesn't it?
I believe that they won. I
I mean,
think
wasn't
they're
it
going to get
a
it.
big
I think-
move to try to stop them from doing whatever?
Well, I think everybody in the hunt was trying to stop them. They were at Bell Circle, and they had all signs one night.
But didn't Creighton, your buddy, and Capano and company, didn't they work overtime to try to put an attachment to some type of amendment? I forget the name of it. Remember that? That said that they were going to make sure that churches or religious institutions and educational institutions did not get a certain zoning waiver?
Right. They tried
So
to, I don't think it ever
apparently
passed.
Apparently they were ineffective because it's going to happen.
I believe it's going to happen. From what I read, it's going to happen.
I mean, if they're doing a study,
Right.
the study is just saying, okay, we're going to justify.
I mean, it's going to
No.
kill 5 lobsters a year, they say, which, for 5
we're
lobsters.
going to add
seriously.
5 lobsters to
But
the
they're going to
pool.
put 5 lobsters in.
5 lobsters.
They're going to
Yeah.
buy them
5
down.
lobsters.
5 live lobsters, big ones, not little guys, big guys. So see, what's happened is, I didn't know this, that the mussels that I love, they like to get inside those pipes, and they.
Right.
It's like getting atherosclerosis. They narrow the opening, you know.
Right.
So the inflow
Right.
is
Yeah,
minimized.
it means jobs. I mean, the hunt. I mean, it's too bad Lynn didn't have something like that because maybe they can't because of the logistics of it. But it's too bad because it means jobs and more money coming in and more people going,
I
to
think
O'Sullivan's and getting those.
To be frank with you,
dinners.
I think they first tried to come here, but the town wasn't too happy about it.
They didn't see. They seemed to throw roadblocks. They weren't too happy about
They
it.
throw roadblocks against anybody trying to do something here.
I don't understand it.
Well, the hunters, maybe we should get the Greater Lynn guy, the former mayor who lives in the hunt.
Right.
Maybe he could effectively do
But
something.
I tell you, you need money today. You need people with wealth today. Because when I was an eye opener in O'Sullivan's the other day, I had the Bundler's burger on salad,
And your
I
2
had-
beers.
and
Don't
I had
forget you had your 2 beers.
IPAs.
Yeah.
That would have come to about $25.
Do you believe
It
he,
wasn't
by the
half
way,
price
do you
night.
believe he only had 2?
I only had 2.
Oh, but he goes on half price night.
I went on half
I
price
never
night.
heard of
Not
a
for being
half price night. I'm Jewish. I never heard of a half price night in my entire life.
You would have been there if I don't know if you heard
Where
about it.
where was this
He's gonna
place?
go
On
with-
Tuesdays, it's between 3 and 9 o'clock. The meals are half price
The meals are half price.
at O'Sullivan. Really, it's a good deal, really.
All right.
Oh, remember that, O'Sullivan?
Yes, right.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here, and
All right, so,
I expect a
I
comment.
wish Malcolm was here for this because he's a GE guy. Apparently, the GE and the unions have come to a tentative. It's always tentative.
And they're going to vote on it the 13th, which I think is Tuesday. They're going to vote
Okay,
Tuesday.
so,
That's a classic example. They both need each other terribly.
Right.
that's right.
Okay, that's why they came to some kind of an agreement. One can't live without the other.
Well, the
At
GE
the state
also,
level, listen to this one. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
GE threatened to do something about it. In other words, they're probably going to bring in strike breakers or move it someplace, move out of Lynn or whatever. Whatever they had to do to
Look, we had
get the
2
work done.
major contracts worth about $500
I know,
million.
but they could do
building
it-
engines for helicopters.
They could build it someplace else. They don't
Of
have to
course they
build them
could.
in Lynn.
So
you
why
know?
would you drive that away? I mean, that keeps everybody happy for a long time.
They have a
to
big
$500
plant in
million.
Ohio. Somebody told me they could do that. That's what somebody
I
told
mean,
me.
I don't understand these folks sometimes. At the state level, H 2849/S.1940, the year after I was born, an act for utility transition to using renewable energy, otherwise known as the Future Act. Do you understand that jargon?
No.
No.
What it comes down to is they don't want us to use natural gas anymore. They want to convert from natural gas because there was a boom boom in Boston. Some pipe went up.
Oh yeah, but how are you going to get rid of natural gas? It's the
Oh,
cheapest,
that's what
it's the
this is-
cheapest
this
and the
bill
most
would be
efficient
first in the
energy there
nation,
is.
and I believe it's sponsored by
Right.
Ehrlich. Is that her name?
She's from Swampscott, I believe, right?
And
swamp come out.
she's thinking, that's the one that outlawed plastic bags.
Oh,
Yeah.
A real gifted genius.
Well, she and their mothers for something or other.
Please.
They're all getting together.
She's
and
actually,
pushing this.
she's thinking about running for Congress.
Yeah, she is. Come to think of it. And the Ward 2 councilor, what are their names? Peterson?
Peterson, yeah.
Yeah.
Peterson.
Future is, I love the title, the Future Act. Do you think it's the future?
Yeah,
The Future Act isn't all that bright.
They're going to ban everything someday. They're going to ban, I tell you, they're going to ban candy and they're going to ban soda. They're going to ban, soda with sugar in it. They're going to ban
Well-
soda and candy. They're going to do it. They're going to do it.
Here's on the district and the national level. Suffolk University Polling Research Center showed that Seth Moulton was not anyone's first choice for president. However, he was second choice for two people, for two voters.
Two voters.
Of all the people they surveyed, two people said he's their second choice.
Exactly.
Nobody said he was their first choice. You know what he said? I'm marching forward.
Right. How does it standing?
Oh, we got to show a second clip. Wait a minute,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My God, thank you. See, I'm getting real slow here. See now, go ahead, put this up.
The suspect was wearing body armor and used an AK-like gun, assault rifle, .223 caliber with high-capacity magazines, and he had additional magazines with him as well. We had 10 fatalities, including the shooter. That number is still the same from this morning. The hospitals have had 27 people treated and 15 discharged as of 10 o'clock this morning.
The individual had a history of obsession with violent ideations to include mass shootings and had expressed a desire to commit a mass shooting.
Again, we go back to we have people with mental illness out there, and what are we going to do about them? I think you have to reach a certain point before they can involuntarily bring you to a hospital or to some lockup.
Oh, there's so many people walking around. It's in the millions that'll never be diagnosed, and just hope to God that they don't go too far abroad. Okay?
But how do we keep guns out of their hands, actually? How do we do it?
It's impossible.
But here is what the impressive part of that was. In 32 seconds, he did mayhem.
Right.
But he was stopped in 32 seconds.
Right.
You have to give the police
Right.
in Dayton, Ohio, all the credit in the world.
Right.
No question about it.
And like the situation in Fort Lauderdale, in the Fort Lauderdale area, when the policeman didn't go in when all those children were
You're
being
talking
killed.
about Parkland.
Parkland, yes.
Oh, that guy's in serious trouble now.
Yeah.
He's looking at jail time.
They're actually prosecuting the
Yeah,
policeman for not doing it.
yeah.
The problem is there was a Supreme Court decision that he doesn't have to do it, so it's.
But didn't the El Paso police, they responded rather quickly too. In fact, the kid actually walked through Walmart into his car and was driving off into the sunset.
But the best one is they said that he went into Walmart to get something to eat.
Right.
And while he was in Walmart, he noticed a lot of Hispanic people and said, I got an idea now. Went back to his car, got his stuff, and that's how it started.
And his mother had called and said, watch out for my son, he's
Right.
crackerjacks.
Oh, was that right? His mother
Yes,
called?
his mother called the police. They just found that out.
But they caught him alive. He's alive.
Yeah, and I bet he wanted to be alive because he put up no fight.
And what are they going to accomplish with this guy? What are they going to do?
They write a book.
And
they
the
make a
Parkland guy
documentary.
too, they caught him too. What's going to be with that guy? Will be in the prison for the rest of his life. It'll cost us
I think they
$100,000.
want to give him the death penalty, and I believe Texas is a death penalty state.
Yes,
is
it is. It definitely is.
Texas is a death penalty state. Right.
Speaking of which, do either one of you guys believe in a death penalty?
Oh, absolutely.
I do, but it must be clear that he did it. In other words,
Beyond a reasonable doubt?
Beyond- no.
Do you think that someone else shot him?
to find somebody guilty, it's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Wait a minute.
But
Wait a minute. Let me stop you there. Is there any question that this guy shot those people?
No.
All right, then why are we playing around? Why are we
but
playing around with semantics?
But in order to have the death penalty, it must be beyond any doubt. any doubt.
But is there any doubt that this guy? That's
No,
my point.
no, in this
See,
case,
that's
no.
what happens is they debate all this crap and go on and on and on.
Right, well, there's
Meanwhile,
no
the guy's
debate.
been on death row for 30 years.
But there is no debate, is
Of
there?
course not. He should be shot tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right.
All right?
Why even give him food to eat?
So if society said, we're not going to tolerate these types of acts, and all of a sudden you showed those who want to shoot,
Right.
because they don't think this
Right.
is reality.
Right.
They think it's like a video game.
And do you know why I believe in the death penalty? Because these people are dangerous. Remember the first sheik that? Remember the buildings 9/11. Remember the first time they tried to build them? They tried to blow them up. Remember the first time?
Yeah.
They didn't succeed. That man was not put. That man was I think he was sent to death. But he was still
The blind
in prison.
sheik.
The blind sheik.
Yeah.
Do you know what he did one day when they were trying to interview him? The sergeant of the guard had him in prison. He took a pencil and put the guard's eye out. That's what the blind sheik did. Did you know that?
No, I
The
didn't.
blind sheep
The
tried to
blind
blind
sheik,
someone else?
he did blind one of the guards. He blinded
And
him.
he's still not been.
And he still is not, still
He's
is just
still
in prison.
alive.
He's still alive.
He's still walking, and he's eating three.
This is why these people are dangerous. You can't have these kind of people around. How would you like to have a guard? You see, somebody has to guard these prisoners. And some of these people are so dangerous and so far out of it. Is it right? Is it moral to have somebody have to guard these people? It's not right. It's absolutely not right.
So your point is these people are so violent and so dangerous
Right.
that to guard them, you're putting your life in
I think
jeopardy.
you
Therefore,
right.
for society's goodness, they've already
Right.
said, I'm no longer part of the human race.
What if they ever?
It's past go, get rid of them immediately.
If they ever escape, or how about the guards? How about the guards? No one ever talks about the guards.
Let me ask something else, which fascinates me.
Yeah.
All of the folks down there that are taking a look at these mass shootings and white nationalism and white supremacy as being the root cause of what's happening, these same people have absolutely no problem with abortion.
No.
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah.
Is that a contradiction of terms or what?
That's a ridiculous contradiction.
Right.
But isn't it?
Of course.
But doesn't that dichotomy exist in the mindset of a lot of these?
Right. And we're talking also, they believe in after a baby is born, that if the mother doesn't want him, just to leave him and put him in a room by itself.
There was a case 2 months ago in Ohio, and the guy was found guilty, and it was up for the death penalty. And one woman on the jury held out not to give him the death penalty. That woman should have been thrown off the jury to begin with, because she has no right. If that guy's family that he killed wants him to get the death penalty, he should have gotten the death penalty.
Isn't that called justice?
Right.
Yeah,
But see,
exactly.
you got to be careful with vengeance. There's vengeance and there's justice. Vengeance should not enter into it.
What the hell?
Wait a minute, Ralph,
How can it not
that's
enter
Ralph, I
into
think
it?
vengeance.
Justice.
In my family's culture, from the old country, we call it satisfazione.
Yeah.
Right.
And I believe strongly in
Right.
vengeance
Right.
of that nature. I mean, God is vengeful, isn't he?
It says
Or
in our
she?
Bible, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth,
Right.
and a life for a life.
Right.
Okay?
Do you
That's
think
Arabic, by
do you
the
think
way,
that
too.
everybody should be able to arm themselves? Do you
What
think
was that?
people? Do you guys think that everyone should be able to arm themselves?
If they choose.
Yeah. Do you know? Here's a man years ago said this: if you don't have a sword, sell your clothes and buy one. You know who said that? You know who said it? Jesus Christ said it. Check
He did?
Luke 22nd chapter, 36th verse. Jesus,
I didn't know you went to the seminary.
I certainly did.
A drinking priest.
If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Luke 22nd chapter, 36th verse. Jesus said that. And remember, in the Garden of Gethsemane, when they were grabbing Jesus to take him away to be tortured and killed, Peter, we believe was the first pope, had a sword and he drew his sword. And he cut off the ear of the person trying to grab Jesus.
So, what are you telling me? Violence can be good?
Well, no. It can. Well, not that good. It can be just. Violence can be just, not good. There's a
Justified?
difference. Justified.
I have heard, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but let me throw it out there. And for you folks, it is said, psychologically, I had to study B.F. Skinner, remember him with the chickens, Pavlov and the rest of them. So if you're on a boat, and the boat is leaking, and it's you or the person that's in the boat, one of you's got to go. Invariably, you'll throw everybody overboard. The only one you'll hesitate for is your mother, and then you'll throw over. Everybody else is see you later. I don't buy that.
No, that's a conundrum, and
But can you imagine that?
What
I think
about-
you have to ask for volunteers first.
What about that plane that plane that crashed in the Andes about 20 odd years ago, and they ended up, some people survived because of cannibalism.
Right.
Yes. The plane went down in Chile. You talking that one there?
Yeah.
Right. Is that allowed by Jewish doctrine?
Absolutely not.
It is by
But-
Christian doctrine, actually.
But by the way, they all agreed to that before
They
some of them
agreed to it.
died.
They
I mean,
agreed to it,
you know, it wasn't as
I
if
wasn't there, I don't know, but
Would
let
you
me
do
put
it?
it
Would
this
you
way.
do it though? Would you do it if you, to live?
I don't think I would, but who knows? I'm
I
not
don't
that-
think I could answer that question because I really don't know.
I don't either. I like to think.
I would certainly hope not.
I would like
you
to
know,
think I
if
would
you
do
two
it.
guys went, it was the same thing happened here, and I was the last one, and I don't know if I'd go for kosher or Italian. I don't
We're
know.
spicy,
Only half price night.
Half price night and go for it.
but we're tough. You know, we're look.
Oh,
you know,
God.
it's
What a horrific thought.
so. As far as all of this, let's kind of
Tie it
bring it
up.
full circle. White nationalism is a cheap excuse. It's
Right,
ducking
right.
the wrong way, right?
What the hell is white nationalism?
I have no idea, but
Oh,
that's all they talk about
thank
now.
you, thank you.
You know, as a matter of fact, if you want to know something, the population of people who are white nationalists is almost ground zero. There's hardly any. You know, the Ku Klux Klan is long gone.
You're talking about maybe
And
30
here's the
people
funny
in the whole
feature.
country.
The great wizard, Senator Harry Byrd, not Harry Byrd, Robert Byrd from West
Robert
Virginia.
Byrd,
West Virginia.
He was buddy-buddy with the Clintons, wasn't he?
Right.
And
Right.
Biden in the country. I mean, Biden was running around with all the boys from the Dixiecrats, all Democrats, by the
Sure.
way.
Well, he's expedient politically, like most politicians are. But
Expedient?
yes.
I would say that that's kind.
And can I tell you, is he still not the front runner by the double digits?
But Biden's changed
Yes,
his
he
mind
is.
in so many
Didn't I
issues.
tell you?
Actually, you know, I'm going to say this in all fairness. I happened to listen to him giving a speech in which he really went after Trump fair.
Oh, really? How
Yeah.
shocking.
And that speech that he gave, though I didn't like the content of it, and I thought it was completely off base, he gave a great speech for him. It was emotional, it was passionate.
Oh, Biden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. You know, the delivery, not the content, the delivery.
He's relaxing a little bit.
That's
which,
why I told you they want him.
They definitely want him.
They said because he brings back to the Democratic Party what they lost about 20 years ago, respectability, and a guy in a suit and tie.
But he won't bring if he doesn't bring the black vote out, he has no chance.
Doesn't
So he
matter,
has
but
to put
he looks
Harris
good on
as-
paper.
Look,
He has to bring a black woman as the vice president.
I
way,
disagree.
no way,
I
no
dis-
way.
As a matter of
He
fact,
won't have a
Kamala
chance.
Harris has gone tanked,
I know.
even with the black man. We're
Why
going to
should-
have to wrap
why
this
should
up.
you be surprised she
Why?
tanked?
Oh, I never liked her anyhow. I
Well,
thought-
you in over her head.
That's true. It's a wrap.
Shalom and
Oh, next week, the Rabbi
Axelrod, he'll be here, so everybody be careful.
We're thinking of you, Malcolm.
Yes, Malcolm, please try your
Bye-bye.
wife to be well, and we'll see you next week.